In this 4-minute videos for developers season 20, we're going to see API proxy deployment, source code and revisions. In this episode, we're going to see Apigee inbuilt revisions capability and how we can manage deployments. Myself Anil Sagar, I work at Google and Apigee platform. Prerequisites for this video, you need Apigee Edge account. You can sign up at apigee.com/edge. You need basic understanding of Apigee API proxy. For that, you can refer earlier 4-minute videos. Let's say using Apigee Edge, you create a simple API proxy and you attach a bunch of policies. By default, when you create an API proxy in Apigee Edge, it is tagged as revision 1. Let's say you make changes to API proxy by adding few more policies, and when you save it as a new revision, then it will be revision 2, and both the revisions will be stored in Apigee Edge. And when you deploy the revision 2, then the revision 2 will become an active, which will serve the API traffic. Let's say at some point of time you would like to revert back to the revision 1 because of let's say you want to roll back, then you can able to do that seamlessly in Apigee Edge. Let's see how it works. As you can see, I'm logged into Apigee Edge as an org administrator. Let's create a simple API proxy to see API proxy revisions in action. Once you click on API proxies, click on plus proxy button. Let's create a simple reverse proxy. Click on next. I'm going to name the proxy as proxy revisions demo, and proxy base path as /v1 slash prfn mock, and give the existing endpoint as mock target.apigee.net. Click on next. Choose authorization as pass through. Click on next. Choose defaults, build and deploy. Once API proxy is deployed, let's attach a bunch of policies and see revisions in action. As you can see, by default it is revision 1 and it is deployed to test environment. Let's click on develop and update this API proxy by adding few more policies. Let's say I would like to add a quota policy that will enforce the quota. So click on preflow, click on plus step on top of request and add quota policy, and then update the quota policy to enforce limit like 2 requests per minute, and change the distributed to true and false to true, and then remove the start time and asynchronous configuration. When you just click on save, it will update the revision and it will override the revision. Instead of overriding the existing revision, let's create a new revision. To do that, click on project and click on save as a new revision. When you create a new revision, but it won't be immediately effective because still the revision 1 is deployed. As you can see, revision 1 is deployed to test and revision 2 is not deployed to any environment. Once you deploy the revision 2, then only quota will be enforced. Since revision 2 is not deployed, there is no quota enforcement happens. Let's see it in action. Click on trace, choose the test environment. As you can see, revision 1 is deployed. Choose start trace session and let's make few calls. As you can see, there is no quota enforced and you can do as many number of calls within a minute. As you can see, there is no quota policy that got executed because the revision 2, though it's created, it's not deployed. Let's go and deploy the revision 2. So choose revision 2 and then click on deployment test and then deploy. Now revision 2 is active. Whenever you make an API call, now quota is enforced. That's how you can able to create revisions and track the API proxy changes. Let's click on trace, start trace session. Let's make few calls. Now you should be able to do only 2 calls per minute. The third call should fail. There you go. And now the quota policy is enforced. Let's say you decided to roll back these changes to the previous version, and it is very simple. Choose the previous revision and then click on deployment, click on test. Now again the API proxy will be rolled back to the previous version where there is no quota policy, and when you make an API calls there won't be any quota enforcement. Let's see it in action. Now I have deployed revision 1 which doesn't have any quota policy. Now if you go back to trace and switch on trace and make few API calls, you can able to do as many number of API calls. There you go. So that's how you can able to do the changes to the API proxy and create revisions and roll back and deploy them to the environment that you would like to deploy. If you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions in community@apigee.com. Thank you for watching this video and subscribe to YouTube channel and share this video with your friends and colleagues.